Hi, this is Trey Baxter. I always wanted to make a video about this. Video is going to be an interesting story to me, at least, and I hope people watching this video will interpret it that way in the spirit. I'm a big fan of the whole Universal horror movies. I love the Wolfman, you know, Frankenstein monster and Dracula, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, all that stuff. Uh, but there was always, the Frankenstein meets the Wolfman was, I guess, the first monster team-up movie. Then after that was House of Frankenstein and House, of Dracula. And of course, having Costello meet Frankenstein, we have all the monsters together in those various movies. But there was always one part of a House of Frankenstein that a lot of people agreed to because the monsters really have no interaction in this movie. Because the first part of the movie is Dracula, the second part of the movie is the Frankenstein monster and the Wolfman being found based off the events of Frankenstein and meets the Wolfman, where they were, basically drowned with the castle when it got blown up, and they apparently got frozen, and they got, flooded into this thing and got frozen in place. And they really don't have any interaction because the Wolfman wakes up once they thaw him out, and he reverts back to Larry Talbot. The monster is severely weakened, so he's not really up and about, and doesn't even come alive until the last few minutes of the movie. So there's no interaction between those three monsters. I mean, the only interaction I guess you could say is between the monster and the Hunchback, where he when he wakes up once Daniel starts choking the life out of Dr. Neiman, and then the monster, unwraps himself, breaks out of his straps, and basically picks him up and throws him out of the window. So that's the only interaction you really get in this whole movie. But I thought of a way, or at least an ending of a way, if you change things around a little bit, that you can get that interaction that we should have gotten in that movie. I mean, I can understand the way, like I said, I've always liked the movie House of Frankenstein because you get all the monsters in the movie. But I always, like a lot of people, didn't like that they didn't interact with each other. That like there was no scene where Dracula sees the Wolfman or Dracula sees the Frankenstein monster. Okay, we know Larry and the monster, from the last movie were interacting, but they have no interaction in this movie at all, and no interaction between Larry and Dracula, or Dracula and the Wolfman, or Dracula and the monster. So this is the way I would do it. I would let everything play out the way it did in the beginning of the movie, except for the, towards the end of the Dracula segment, when Dracula is, has the woman he's riding off in a carriage, and he's trying to catch up with Neiman, with Dr. Neiman and Daniel in the carriage, and Daniel swings by and pushes his coffin off, to try to create some distance between the police and Dracula and them. So, but you let him do that, but instead of the casket getting dropped on a hill, and then Dracula trying to, overturning in the carriage and trying to get up to his coffin before the sunlight comes and disintegrates him. Let him push the coffin off. Instead of pushing it off on a hill, it's pushed off near this, I say, abandoned well, this sort of bottomless well thing, and then Dracula crawls up trying to get to it, and when he gets to it, him and it, because of the weight of the coffin and his weight, they, it caves in, and because it's solid, you can have it sort of seal off, like, they have a stupid sign that they're saying, this is a bottomless well, please, danger, danger, and you can have them basically, have the coffin and him basically plummet to this bottomless, abandoned well and go down, and you just see him scream, ah, and then you see it go down, and then you see it play out with the wife being rescued by the husband and the ring falling off. So everybody just assumes that, Dracula, he fell down. You can even have the policeman, when they catch up to it, and say, and have them look down and say, oh, I guess that's the end of Dracula. It's a bottomless well, that's the end of Dracula. And you can have it play out the way it did, and then you can have a quick shot before it changes scenes where you see the coffin down at the very, very bottom, and you see Dracula's gloved white hand, and then you see it twitch for a quick minute, and then it fades out, and it plays out, the way it normally does the rest of the movie, with them picking up Ilanka, the gypsy girl, them finding the Frankenstein monster and the Wolfman and thawing them out, okay, and Larry changing and of course killing someone, and Ilanka finding out that he's a Wolfman and falling in love with him and all that, play out the same way, okay, except this time what will happen is we're going to move up the timetable a little bit, okay. You can have Dr. Niemann recharge the monster, so but he has his strength, so he's recharged, okay. And he tells Daniel to go get Talbot and tell him I'm ready for him, okay. But he does this a little earlier, okay. So there's still time before the moon rises, okay. And he comes to the room after Ilanka leaves, after she was trying to get in. Larry wouldn't let her in, and he bangs on the door to Larry, telling Larry, Mr. Talbot, Dr. Niemann's ready for you. And then Larry gets up and he goes out to, because he figures this Dr. Niemann's finally going to fulfill his promises and give me death. All right? And he goes in, and then you see Ilanka come, and Larry's telling her to, please, stay back. Okay, you don't want to be around. The moon's going to be full pretty soon, and I'm going to change, and I don't want you to be around. And she says, I'm not leaving you, Larry. Dr. Niemann's going to help you, and I'll be there for you when I want to be there for you. Yeah, and she comes in with him and Daniel, and Dr. Niemann tells them to move to the side, tell her to, stay out of the way, and he straps Larry down and straps him on a little gurney on the gurney, and he's getting ready to, administer the sedative to him to put him unconscious. And Larry's telling him, hurry up, the moon is full. I don't want to live through another spell. And he's getting ready to do it. And then all of a sudden, you look to the left, and you see a bat flying in. And the bat, changes into Dracula. And it's Dracula there. And he says, Dr. Niemann, I'm here. I'm here for my revenge. You abandoned me. You abandoned me. I want my revenge. I'm here for my revenge. And and then he advances towards Dr. Niemann, and Dr. Niemann goes, wait a minute, Dracula, wait a minute, I had to do what I had to do, but here, you can take this gypsy girl. he shoves Ilanka towards Dracula, goes, here, you can have her, you can have her. And Daniel goes, of course. Daniel goes, no, master, no, he tries to jump in front of it, and Dr. Niemann, puts the sedative he was going to give Larry into Daniel, so Daniel passes out. And then you can have, Larry, he's still conscious, but the moon is come, and he's screaming at that, Niemann said, leave her, screaming at Drac, said, leave her alone, but he can't, he's strapped in, so he can't do anything. And Dr. Niemann and Dracula, Ilanka's backing up. And he stares at her and tells her to freeze, or stop. And she stops. She's completely hypnotized. And of course, and he picks her up, and then that's when we see that the moon is rising, and Larry starts to change into the Wolfman. And as Dracula is getting ready to carry Ilanka out, he looks back at Dr. Niemann and said, "I'll be back." He said, "Do you think this is still not over it, Dr. Niemann? This is just a temporary fix. I'll be back for my, I'll be back. You still owe me." And as he's getting ready to walk out, carrying, Ilanka in his arms, the Wolfman, Larry Talbot is changing fully into the Wolfman, and he sees Dracula with the girl, and he breaks out of the straps, and just the same thing he did in Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, and tackles Dracula, and he of course drops Ilanka, and they start fighting and fighting into the hallway. And you can have that same type of fighting that was in Abbott Costello Meet Frankenstein, where you had Dracula and the Wolfman fighting each other. Him trying to hit him with chairs and stuff and throwing vases at him and stuff. So you can have them battling in the hallway, and have Ilanka, get up after she fell and hit the floor, she wakes up and she sees, Larry, the Wolfman fighting Dracula in the hall, and they're battling towards the door, and she's following them slowly, following them out. And then you can even have them, battle out, Dracula running and opening up the door, and then he, changes into a bat and flies away before the Wolfman can get to him. But then you see Alaka's following right after them, and the Wolfman hears her. I think she can have a step on something, and he turns around and sees her, and he starts advancing towards her, and she's, trying to back up, saying, "No, Larry, no," and he attacks her, and then she shoots him. So we can have that play out the same way it did in the original version, where he attacks her, fights her, and then she shoots him with the silver bullet. So you can still have that outcome of him dying with the silver bullet, and her being fatally mauled, okay, and her dying in his arms. It's just this time it would be in front of the house, okay, and of course then we cut back to the inside of the laboratory where Dr. Neiman is trying to wake Daniel up, waking him up, and then you can hear Daniel hears the shot, okay, and he runs out, to try to see if he can help Ilaka, but he runs out, and so you have the monster still strapped to the chair, strapped to the thing, and Dr. Neiman there, and then you see a bat fly in again, and then he changes into Dracula, and he said, and he's even more pissed off now that Dr. Neiman didn't tell him it was a werewolf, and that he had a fight that almost killed him, and so he's even more pissed. He said at Dr. Neiman now, so he says, "Oh, I see you have the Frankenstein monster here, okay." So, okay, so I know what my revenge will be now. And then he looks at the Frankenstein monster and tell him, he commands him. He looks, give him that death stare thing. Tries to hypnotize the monster and tell him, stand up. And the monster unstraps himself, stands up, and he looks at Dr. Neiman. He says, "Okay, good." He said, "With this monster by my side, Frankenstein monster by my side, I'll be invincible. I'll be invincible. But now for my revenge, Dr. Neiman. Kill." He tells the monster to kill Dr. Neiman. But instead of the monster doing that, since the monster still has Igor's brain in it, and he's loyal to Dr. Neiman because he gave him strength. So he's not listening to Dracula. He picks him up, picks up Dracula, and then he puts him through the window and throws him out of the window. Okay, and as he throws him out of the window, Dracula falls, and then you see him fall to the bottom, and then we see that part of that glass and the wooden window with the glass, part of it has been impaled. Dracula's been impaled by it, so that kills off Dracula. Okay, now the Wolfman is killed off. So the only person you have left is the Frankenstein monster and the Hunchback and Dr. Neiman, right? And then at that moment, you see Daniel come back in with Ilaka, and he does the same thing you see in the original version. He says, "Master, master," and he puts her on the table, and he says, "The Wolfman, yeah." He said, "This wouldn't have happened." He does the same thing, same spiel that he did in the original version. If you kept your promise to me, kept faith with me, and he tries to, tries to go after Dr. Neiman, but the monster's there, so he interferes, and he basically grabs Daniel and throws him into some electrical equipment, which fries Daniel, and he's dead. He drops dead. And then at that moment, we have the angry villagers come in, just like in the original, where they come in, and the monster, is there with the doctor, and they try, the monster tries to come at them. They put the fire towards him, and then he grabs the doctor and picks him up, and he starts, the same way, and it ends basically the same way with him, except the doctor is not unconscious, after being almost choked out. He's conscious, but he's being dragged along by the monster. Okay, who basically picks him up like a little kid, and he's dragging him along, and it basically ends the same way with them going into the quicksand. So this way you got interaction between the Wolfman and Dracula, Dracula and the monster, okay, and Daniel and the monster. See, I think that I think that would be a good way to solve that problem of them not physically interacting with each other. Okay, I'm a little sketchy with the details, but you get I think you get the gist of what I'm talking about. This way you got the interaction between, and this way you have all the creatures die at the end. You got Dracula impaled, thrown out the window by the monster, and getting impaled on a slab of wood from the glass window he falls out of. Okay, and you get them, still get the Wolfman getting killed by the silver bullet. You get Daniel getting fried by being thrown into some electrical equipment by the monster. Okay, and you get the monster and Dr. Iman sinking into the quicksand. So you still get the same outcome, except Dracula comes later back into the story. So that way you get that interaction between all of the monsters. Okay, so anyway, let me know what you think of my idea of this interaction. So now that way you get the full, and I think they could have done it back then, but I guess they weren't thinking about it, or they didn't think about it too hard. They just wanted the monsters in the movie. But I think my version of it, that way you get that interaction between the monsters. You get Dracula and the Wolfman fighting. You get Frankenstein and Dracula interacting. Okay, and basically getting the Frankenstein monster basically killing Dracula. You get the monster killing Daniel, the Hunchback. Okay, and you still get Larry getting killed by the silver bullet, the Wolfman, and you still get Dr. Iman and the monster drowning in quicksand. Okay, so anyway, let me know what you think of that idea. Okay, or if you have a better idea of having the monsters interact more, which I think it's just a better way to I think my idea. I was thinking about it a long time, but I think that's a good idea to how to get all of the creatures in one spot and get them to interact with each other. Okay, and still have it end the same way basically, except you bring the Dracula back into the story, coming back for revenge against Dr. Iman. Okay, anyway, let me know what you think, or let me know what your idea of interaction is. Feel free to leave comments down below. I have links to my social media in the description box: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I also have a link to my other channel called Views and Opinions. You check that out as well. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.